This video is going to be a review of the 12 questions for the test that we have tomorrow. I'm going to work each question pretty quickly, but you can always pause and rewind if you need to. So I have a standard equation here, nothing weird happening. So I see my parentheses. I'm going to start by distributing. So I'm going to do 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Bringing down my 2x plus 12. No like terms to combine, so I can go to get my variables together. Since I'm crossing that equal sign, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And then I have a normal two-step equation. So typically with a two-step equation, I will take care of my addition and subtraction first, and then my division. And that's my final answer. Moving on to number 2. Again, just a simple solving equation. Nothing weird happening here. In fact, I don't even need to do any distribution. I do have variables on both sides, so I will start by getting them together. I'm subtracting the 10y just so that I don't have any negative numbers. If you subtracted 15y, that would be okay. You're just going to have to deal with more negatives than me. And now I'm at a two-step equation. So adding 6 to both sides, and then dividing by 5. Remember, when we're solving, what we're looking to do is get that variable by itself with a coefficient of 1 and everything else on the other side. All right, moving on to number 3. Again, I'm solving an equation, but this time I've got this fraction here. And I could distribute it, so I could do this. But if I do, it's going to give me yucky fractions or decimals to deal with, and I don't want to do that. So instead, to make my life easier, I am going to start by multiplying both sides of this equation by 2. On this side, the 2's cancel. On this side, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then I need to distribute. So I'm multiplying by 2 to get rid of this times 1/2, which means divide by 2. I need to distribute before I can do anything else. And then negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. And now it's like the others. Again, I could have distributed the 1/2, but I don't want to deal with fractions, especially if I have to add or subtract them. So to make life easier, I multiplied both sides by 2 to get rid of the fraction. All right, now I'm going to add 12x, because then I deal with positive numbers over here. So I get 6 equals negative 5 plus 11x. Signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the larger. And now it's 2 steps. So adding 5, boom. And then dividing by 11, I get x equals 1. Okay, moving on to number 4. My directions here say is the following always, sometimes, or never true. So those directions kind of tell me, ooh, maybe something weird's going to happen with this one. But I'm still just going to solve it like normal. So on the right-hand side, I see I need to distribute because I have those parentheses. 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. On the left-hand side, I can combine my like terms. They're on the same side, so I can just combine them. 10x minus 1x is 9x. Now, when I go to get my variables together, they subtract out from both sides, and I'm left with negative 5 equals negative 3. Since that is false, this equation is never true. What we would normally say is no solution. but to answer the question that was asked, is it sometimes, always, or never true? It's a never. This one is never true. Question 5, solve and graph the inequality. So first of all, when I solve an inequality, it is the same as solving an equation unless I multiply or divide by a negative. The other difference is I want my variable on the left so that when I graph it, I can use my move to the left, move to the right easily. So I'm going to just start by distributing. 3 times -1 is -3. Now with the variables on both sides, if I were solving an equation, I would subtract 3x from both sides. But with an inequality, I want my variable on the left. So I'm going to bring it over to the left. Now I have 2 steps. So I'm going to add the 3. And then right here, divide by -2. When I divide by that -2, it's going to change my inequality. So I'm going to get x is greater than 10 divided by -2 is -5. And then I was asked to also graph it. So drawing my number line. Make sure you number it correctly. You're going up. So don't forget these are negative numbers. So it seems like we're going backwards there, but they're negative. So we kind of are. All right, and then I am going to do an open circle at the -5 because it's greater than, not greater than or equal to. So these 2 are open. These 2 are closed. We don't want to include the -5, so we don't close it in. And we shade to the right because it's greater than. Okay. Number 6, another solve and graph. So again, I'm going to distribute. 2 times x is 2x minus 2 times 0.5. So many of you did this wrong. 2 times 5 is 10. 1. Move your decimal once. It's 1. It's 2 times a half. Half of 2 is 1. So that is just 1. We should be able to do it without having to do this over here. But I was showing you how y'all are doing your decimals incorrectly. Now it's just 2 steps, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the larger. Dividing by 2, I get x is greater than or equal to -1. And again, doing our number line. It is going to be a closed dot on the -1. And it's greater than, so also shaded to the right. Moving along to question 7, so we're about halfway done. This one gave y'all a lot of trouble, but it's actually not difficult. Remember, this is a literal equation. Means it has more than one variable. And I'm solving for b. I want to get the b by itself. It's just like solving an equation. First, I want to get rid of the 1/2. Remember, that means dividing by 2. The opposite of that is multiplying by 2. So I'm going to get 2a equals, and on this side, they're going to cancel. Boom, boom. BH. Still trying to get b by itself. It's being multiplied by h. The opposite of multiplied is divided. So I'm going to get b equals 2a over h. That's actually your answer. I'm done. I've got the b by itself. That's what I was told to do. Moving on to number 8. All right, so remember when you're doing this, you're looking for what changed. So step 1 to step 2, I distributed. Boom, boom. That's our distributive property. Step 2 to step 3, I added the 2x plus 3x, combined like terms. Basically, I simplified the left-hand side in those 2 steps. Step 3 to step 4, the minus 2 disappeared because I added 2 to both sides. That's the addition property of equality. And then step 4 to step 5, the 5 disappeared because I divided by 5. That's our division property of equality. Question 9. We're just looking for an expression. That's important because we've been doing equations, and this one's just an expression because I didn't tell you what the perimeter was equal to. So I'm just going to label my 2 sides that weren't labeled, and then I'm going to add it up. 3x plus 3x is 6x, 2x plus 2x is 4x, 6 and 4 is 10, and then -1 and -1 is -2. That's our perimeter. If you really wanted an equation, you could do perimeter equals. I can't solve anything because nowhere did I tell you what the perimeter was equal to. So I can't solve anything. Okay, question 10. Paul opens a savings account with $350. He saves $150 per month. This is one of those pers. So I'm going to end up doing some multiplication there. Write and solve an equation to determine how many months it'll take to save 1,550. So our unknown is number of months. To write our equation, he does the 350. He only does that once. Plus he does 150 per month. And we want to know how long until that equals 1,550. And then I just have a 2-step equation. So subtracting 350. Zero, zero, 2, 1,200. And dividing by 150. So I'm going to get x equals, and when I do 1,200 divided by 150, or 120 divided by 15, I'm going to get 8. So 8 months. We're almost done. I know this is a long video. Question 11, translate the statement. Okay, so 8 less than, that's subtraction, twice, that means I'm going to multiply by 2. A number, that's our variable, is, that's our equals, 10. Remember, subtraction is built backwards. So 8 less than, twice a number, is 10. And then adding 8. And dividing by 2. And number 12, our last question. Angela ate at the same restaurant 4 times. Each time, that's kind of like per, right? Each time she ordered a salad and left a $5 tip. She spent a total of, so that's going to be our equals, $54. Write and solve an equation to find the cost of each salad. So x is going to be the cost of the salad. So here's my equation. Each time she went, she bought a salad and left a $5 tip. She did that 4 times, and it cost $54. 54, right? See what I did there? So each time she went, this is each time, times the 4 times gives us our total amount. And then we just need to solve. So distribute. Subtract. And divide by 4. Since this is money, we're going to round to 2 decimal places, and we're going to get $8.50. And that is it. That is the review for the test. I am going to go back through each of them one more time. You can pause if you need to in order to get the whole question.